My name is Melly, and I'm gonna turn myself in.
The ynwmelly trial is starting to get closer to the end, as the state will be calling their final witnesses this week. A new witness was called by the prosecution. He is a friend to the YNW crew and goes by the name Traveon Glass, and he is one of the last people to see the victims alive. He is in charge of creating beats for them, and he was actually at the recording studio the night of the incident. He had given a statement to law enforcement days after the crime, but had not been available to the prosecution until he was recently arrested and has now come forward as a potential witness.
Welcome to Crazy Amazing World.
The circumstances in which he became available to testify in this trial have been questioned by the defense, with the defense arguing that the witness violated the rule of sequestration. As the witness had admitted, he's been watching the case on YouTube and could have tailored his testimony based on what he had seen unfolding in the trial. Also, the witness has 2 pending charges and may have struck a plea deal with the state to avoid going to jail in exchange for testifying. Nevertheless, the judge allowed the witness to testify in the interest of justice. During most of his testimony, Mr. Glass, who clearly wasn't thrilled to be testifying, covered half of his face with his hair. Mr. Glass was able to identify everybody coming out of the studio and where they sat in the vehicle, including himself. He was sitting in the front passenger seat of the red Mitsubishi. He was in the car with 3 other people, while Melly got in the gray Jeep with the victims. He also testified that Melly was wearing different clothes after the incident when he saw him at the hospital, different from what he was initially wearing when they left the studio.
For the record, what is Frito wearing in the photograph?
A shirt. White shirt.
Okay. Can you please specify?
Kobe, Melly. I'm on people I can remember.
Okay. Was that the first time you saw Melly after you guys left the studio?
Yeah.
Was Melly wearing the same clothes or different clothes than when you saw him at the studio?
It was a new day. Nah, he wasn't.
Nah, he wasn't. You guys
He wasn't wearing the same clothes.
Okay. Do you recall what he was wearing?
Just had on some shorts.
Okay.
This is a very important testimony in the case, as the big question is, since Melly didn't go back to the house after he left the studio, where are the initial clothes Melly was wearing and why did he change the clothes?
I pointed out to you someone was, the person that was wearing the jacket that you identified as Melly was carrying something across his side or his back on the video. Do you recall seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall what that's referred to?
A satchel.
Okay. Can it also be commonly referred to?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you familiar with the term man?
Objection.
Watch one sidebar.
Did you see that satchel again after you left the studio?
No,
Do you know what was in that satchel?
I don't.
Okay. Do you recall seeing anyone else with a satchel that night at the studio?
It was 5 years ago. I don't recall.
Okay. Is there anything that can refresh your recollection as to whether or not anybody else was wearing a satchel?
I suppose so.
If I were to show you the video again, would that refresh your recollection?
I suppose so.
Publishing State 7. I'm going to start Publishing State 7 at 2:19:01. Cog at 2:19:13. Does the video refresh your recollection as to anyone else that was carrying a satchel?
Yes.
Who, if anyone, was carrying a satchel?
I see Chris for one.
And that's Christopher Thomas.
Yes.
Lately, the prosecution has been doing a better job connecting the dots than they did at the beginning of this trial.
Like, ain't nan bitch really gonna love you, and ain't nan bitch really gonna feel you. Cause all these hoes want is money and fame.
So Melly's attorneys just finished their cross-examination of Traveon Glass, and here's some notable points of his cross-examination.
You forgot where you sat in the vehicle a few days after.
Objection, counsel testify.
Overruled. You can answer.
Answer what?
That question. Is that correct, sir?
Did I forget?
Did you
Or
forget?
did I have made a mistake and say I was in the back and remember that I was in the front?
So when you told the law enforcement officers that you had gotten into the back of the vehicle a few days after the incident,
That's what I thought, to the best of my knowledge.
that's what you thought. Okay.
Now, in Traveon's testimony, he also stated that the night that they were all at the recording studio, he didn't see any friction between anybody. And then lastly, Melly's attorneys asked him about his marijuana use, in which he stated he wished he had smoked the day he had showed up to testify. Now, they're currently on break, but I wanted to get back to this conversation. Hold on. Now, this conversation between Traveon and Melly the night of the shootings is kind of interesting because in this statement here, Melly is telling Traveon that he had nothing to do with their deaths. And it's rather interesting because I would like to know, at the time of their deaths, who was accusing Melly of anything? Because it's going to be really interesting to see who was accusing Melly of any of this the night the crime occurred.
The prosecution should be resting their case sometime soon. Then it will be the turn of the defense to put on their case. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and turn on notifications for more.